Blessed be y'all, this is Jen Fremont. I am sitting here in my spare room here. It is fall outside. I can hear a marching band in the distance, which is always cool. I used to be in marching band, so I always kind of like hearing that. And you know it's fall with football and marching bands and stuff like that. I've got a lot of topics that I want to talk about and that have been kind of bubbling around in my head for the last few days or so. I was going through them last night. I did some journaling last night, and I think I'm going to start with some of the stuff that I wrote down in my journal here. I'll get to that later. I guess the main thrust of this is changing the world. And so many people are very discouraged. They say, "Oh, I'm so small, I can't do anything. I'm just this one little bitty person in the scheme of things." And I think to myself, well, yes, and often I am talking to somebody who practices magic, and they're going, "Well, I'm just not powerful enough to do anything about that." And I'm like, come on, people. Have some imagination there and stuff like that. One of the things that came out in my journaling was that I have not been able to do the imagining that I had for a long time, and I see that I'd run into a lot of obstacles, and those obstacles wore me down after a while because I wasn't making any progress, and what I wanted became smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually even those small things I couldn't seem to get accomplished. So I had a much harder time dreaming big and wanting a whole lot. Well, another thing happened, for a while I didn't have the finances to do a lot of stuff that I wanted to do, and so that was another thing that made my imagination contract. But it also showed me how that I could live on less, and a lot of things that I was doing to spend my money were things that they were buying stuff that I thought was going to make me happy. And a lot of that stuff never got used. A lot of that stuff, you take it home, you take it out of the box, it's like the kid at Christmas, they unwrap the toys, they play with them for 5 minutes or that day or whatever, and they go in the toy box and they never get used again. And I saw that a lot of the stuff that I had bought was the same way. I kept trying to fill my life with something that was going to make me happy, I thought. And I saw where it was doing nothing for me. And in a lot of ways that helped me, but it also was the same sort of thing that my concept of what was possible contracted. Because I just didn't have the funds to go out and do huge things. So, another thing that people don't seem to understand, and it seems to be, it's something that's come up in psychology and stuff like that people they will say that people have an inability to delay their gratification. Well, in my experience, if you have the money in hand to buy something that you've wanted for a while and you don't actually go out and buy it, that money's going to be gone. I've seen that happen so many times when I thought, okay, I'm going to save this and I'm going to keep saving and then I can buy a better one or something like that at the end of this. But in a few months, the stuff just happened, and I ended up having to spend that money on stuff that I did not intend to, and it gave me absolutely no pleasure, satisfaction, anything like that. And I also found that if you spend the money on something that you want, something that is durable, that's going to last a while and you're actually going to use, later on, if those unexpected expenses come up, you find a way to get the money to deal with them. Whereas if you got the money in the bank, you don't scramble around to try to find those other ways to get what you really need, like that set of tires or the battery or stuff like that comes up, and you should plan for it. You should plan for it. I sat down and did a budget one day, and I was shocked when I actually lined it all out and just simple stuff like tires and battery and oil changes and stuff for your vehicle, and how much those expenses are, and how much, if you project, say you need a new set of tires every 2 years and something like that, it's $10-20 a month that you have to set aside for that. Well, for the vehicle I have anyway. All that stuff varies with what you have and stuff like that. But yeah, I was like, and then when I added up all of those odd things that I knew sometime in the future, and it was probably every year or every 2 years or every 5 years or something, you're going to have to do this thing. And you add up all those expenses, and it's like a couple $100 a month. And it was eye-opening. It was like, oh, that's why I'm always getting slapped with these things, and I didn't know it. So I can't say that I budget for that, but I know where those things come from, and I don't get slapped as hard and get so down about it. I know those things are coming up, and sometimes, I can prepare for them, like I see my tires on my truck are running a little bit thin or something like that. I can think to myself, well, I better start putting a little bit aside, because I know I'm going to need a set of tires in 3 months, 6 months, something like that. So I'm kind of getting off the subject here, but I see that, yes, you can change the world, and you can at least change your little part of the world, change the way you think about things, change the way your friends and stuff think about things. If you can build a set of friends around something that is outside of the norm, that's a good thing. Because you can have other folks that, they may read other books, or they may have other experiences with whatever you're doing. And you know, it expands things. So some of the stuff that I'm talking about here are like growing your own food, homeschooling your children, doing magical practice, things like that. And those things are outside of what most society considers normal. And those activities, yeah, they could conceivably, you could have some legal problems with them because of it's something as simple as growing your own food. In some places, you know, there's all kinds of regulations on what you can and you can't do, and you know, whether you can give that food away or you know, eat it yourself or whatever. And to me, that's crazy, but it's true. Homeschooling is another one that the powers that be, the educators, have fought tooth and nail to keep that out of the hands of the parents. And you know, some places it's difficult to do. I'm not talking, I don't advocate, you know, blatantly breaking the law or anything, but some of these things I see are a gray area too. Some things that I would stay away from anything that actually you know, includes things that are traditionally considered a vice. I would say, you know, sex, drugs, gambling, things like that. Those sorts of things, it's very easy to be led into a compulsive lifestyle that is probably going to be detrimental to you and the other people involved in it. So I would not advocate that sort of thing. On the other hand, I think that the drug laws that we have today are archaic, and I don't think that they should have any laws about what people should actually be able to ingest. I think that should be a matter of people's own responsibility. If they want to ingest some substance, then I think they should have the freedom to do so. But that would upset a lot of people who are making a whole lot of money off of, you know, arresting people for smoking dope and stuff like that. So, you know, anyway, I guess my bottom line is you can do something. You can do something. And stretch your imagination a bit. I'm going to do a couple of more videos here while I'm sitting here about some subjects that I have, some of the books that I've been reading and stuff like that, that have kind of, they have changed my way of thinking about things, and stretch my imagination a little bit. So I think that's all for this video, and stand by for those other videos. This is Jen Fremont. Blessed be y'all.